Alright, hi. What you're about to see is my third attempt at filming this video because I live on a street where literally every single person owns a dog. My neighbors tend to get into violent verbal altercations, and that causes all the dogs on the street to participate and start barking, and that makes filming virtually impossible. Also, trucks are passing by and crickets are constantly chirping, so I'm gonna try to film this as quickly as possible because things need to be said, alright? Do not expect any organization. Do not expect any coherence in this review because this book was a mess. Full disclosure, this is gonna be a very angry rant review. I am gonna be completely sober the entire time because I've got shit I need to say. And if that doesn't interest you, if she's your fave, if you love her, and you will love every single thing she writes, good for you. I wish I enjoyed this book as much as you did, and you don't need to hear my opinions, okay? So just go somewhere else if you would like some validation. Also, another thing I want to disclose, I do consider myself to be a Sarah J. Maas fan. My video on the best books I read in 2020 has Queen of Shadows. My 2021 video has A Court of Silver Flames. And in addition to all that, I did a full video ranking the Throne of Glass books where I praised the entire series. So I am a huge fan of Throne of Glass. I am mostly a huge fan of ACOTAR. However, I am not the biggest fan of the Crescent City books because on paper, I thought that I was gonna love these books so much. They are her adult follow-up, so these books are allegedly meant for some grown-ass people, and they read like thriller mystery books. I'm a huge thriller fan, so I was under the impression that this was gonna be her best series yet. And then it hit me. I was like, in what universe would I ever want to read a thriller book that reads like a, detective mystery that's 800 pages long? It's literally as bad as it sounds. Also, not only do you have to read 800 pages, you have to read 800 pages times 2, 1,600 pages, only for Sabine to not die, the bitch mom of Danica. Like, what the fuck? This pissed me off so much. I wanted to see that wolf's head get ripped off, clean off, fucking Sandriel style, and that never happened. You could have at least given us that in this book, considering you gave us literally nothing else, Janet. Ugh. Anyway, yeah, I want to speak to the manager. No, fuck the manager. I want to speak to the CEO, Miss Janet herself, and ask her, ma'am, why the fuck are you keeping this bitch alive? Like, Anyway. So I just read the first Crescent City book for the first time this year, and I feel like I read the same book. This case was more small scale because Bryce was trying to find out the cause of death of her personal friend, and then it ties into the greater evil behind the politics and the government and the Asteri and the various factions and the rebels, yada yada yada. And then over here, it just felt like the same thing, with the ending conclusion being the Asteri was evil. No shit, Sherlock, like what the f? Except in this book, she does something that I normally do not like in like any book I read, and that's multiple points of view, because I personally like to, just immerse myself in a single character, imagine myself as them, like I am in the story, I am this person, I am the one kicking ass. Over here, in addition to Bryce, we had so many other extra characters, and they were all men for some reason. What the fuck? Now, I have nothing against this, okay? If I'm not mistaken, the first book was just Bryce and Hunt, right? Right. Over here we had Bryce, Hunt, Rune, Therian, Ethan, Cormac, 5 men, 5 straight men, and the dialogue was so like bro, like, I'm just gonna call her Janet for the rest of this video. When I love her, I call her Sarah. When I am mad at her, I call her Janet. Janet. Her idea of like straight man bro dialogue is one of the cringiest things I've ever fucking read in my entire life. When Cormac first shows up, his first line is literally, "You smell like cunt." Okay, I laughed. It was funny, but girl, for real? Are we for real here? Sarah J. Maas is literally obsessed with all this mate and ownership stuff. And yeah, so like the first thing Cormac does when he gets on screen is like, he goes up to Bryce and is like, "You're my mate, you're my bitch, you're my girl." And I'm like, boy oh boy, he is not the only one. Therian, every time he calls Bryce legs, I wanted to puke. You got all these men characters. Why is the name of this book House of Sky and Breath, okay? Why isn't the name of this book Midgard Sausage Party? Like, I don't understand. I do not comprehend. My brain cannot compute. Now, we talked about the men. Let's talk about the women, okay? What's the female representation like in this book? What are the women like? Where are the women? Let me tell you, Pippa, 3 pages of screen time. Do any of you remember who she is? The Hind, a bitch. The Harpy, a bitch. Juniper, a brat and a bitch. Multifaceted women, yay. Fury, a bitch. Sabine, a thunder cunt. Danica, dead. Bryce, the heroine with magic who every single man in the story has a crush on. What the f? This is like bad female representation in this book. I think Sarah J Maas needs to attend Rhysand's feminism school before she even attempts to jot down whatever she has in store for us in the 3rd book, which, let me just, okay. The whole time I was reading this, I was like, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. I sincerely hope we get another Nesta book next. Let's just say that the publisher was like, Janet, what are we gonna get next? An ACOTAR book or a Crescent City book? And she was like, yes. And I was like, no, no, don't poison the ACOTAR world with this shit, please. Stop it. Is it too late to like retcon the last line? Is it too late to just have Sarah J Maas come out and be like, this book is not canon, forget this happened? I would really love for this whole series to just go away, okay? Now I want to talk about Bryce. I find her so cringe. She always has like a sick comeback to everything, a one-liner, a quip. Girl, this is so cringe. A couple times, it's okay, it's fine. But we're never invited to take her seriously because she's just such an annoying bitch all the time. I don't find it charming or fun or relatable that every single guy in this book wants to bone her. Ethan secretly liking Bryce the entire time. Are you joking? Yes, even Rune, even her brother, I think, had a crush on her. I was getting full-on Flowers in the Attic vibes from their relationship. I was like, there is something up here, okay? Like, who can relate to that? Can you relate to that? I sure as fuck can't. Sadly. I mean, I would like to, but like, girl, this is welcome to planet Earth. You get disappointed in life. And I just feel like there's no depth to her. She doesn't feel like her own person, her own individual. So much of her life is defined through her relationships to other people, defined by the men in her life, defined by her friendship to Danica, who is a horrible friend. Let me just put that out there. But Bryce herself as a character is just so lame. So lame. And this ridiculous beauty she possesses is like, okay, good for you, girl. I can't relate though. And you a bitch. What the fuck? And I get that the first book is a small-scale personal investigation that reveals more sinister truths about the grander scheme of things and the world these characters live in. And I assumed a lot of those evils were going to be explored over here. I will give some credit. I mean, this isn't a plus for this book, but this is an interesting thing that this book did. And that thing is, it showed how the people heading the rebellion, the humans who were oppressed, you know, Pippa, Ophion, yada yada yada, that the rebellion is also very unethical and very corrupt. We love nuance, we love gray areas, we love heavy moralistic conversations. It's just that this book doesn't have those conversations. It presents them to us, but the narrative payoff is like nothing. Nothing at all. And Pippa just felt like such a weak nothing of a villain to me. I don't know if she's the villain or if she's just the morally great character who is doing what she thought was best, but none of them felt like a threat to me. None of them were interesting. None of them were as like epic as Maeve and Erewhon and, you know, even Amarantha, sure. The King of Hybern, sure. Over here, we have like, what? Nothing. And we do get confirmation that the Asteri is in fact evil, and that happens in the last 50 pages. It happens here. Everything else? And the reveal was just so like, duh. And the thing about them feeding off the first light and the second light reminded me so much of, spoiler alert for From Blood and Ash, but it reminded me so much of the Ascension in that book. If you know, you know. When I got to that part, I was like, okay, I can see why some people might have thought this was genius. I've seen her done better before. I gasped the first time when I read it in a different book. Reading it over here was just like, okay. So this book opens up with new characters. We have these Thunderbirds, okay? We've got Sophie, who's a Thunderbird. Don't ask me what a Thunderbird is, I've already forgotten. And she is in cahoots with these rebels, and she's freeing her younger brother Emil from this death camp, which was immediately giving me flashbacks to the salt mines of Endovier. She frees him from the place where they're being oppressed, okay? the Thunderbirds. And then we think Sophie dies, and then Emil goes into hiding. And then Sarah J. Maas spends like 600 pages hyping up this Emil character, this Sophie character. Ooh, the Thunderbirds. What are they gonna do? Their powers, they're wanted by the rebels, they're wanted by the bad guys, they're wanted by everyone. It turns out that Bryce knew where Emil was like the whole time, and that Sophie was dead. Yeah, we were like, Sarah, aren't you gonna give us some narrative payoff about these characters who you made a huge deal of for the first 600 pages of your book? And she was like, yeah, fuck that. Emil has 0 powers, and he is found off screen. Are you fucking kidding me? And then we learned that Sophie was friends with, guess who? Danica! Because Danica is still in the picture for some reason. Why can't she just rest in peace? And Danica was mated with Baxian. Danica is like a literal plot device at this point. Janet just uses Danica to insert subplots and backstories and red herrings that she didn't include for some reason in her outline of the book. She thinks we seriously give a fuck about Danica because she and Bryce have been besties since they were children. But there's like literally no development because Bryce and Danica spend all of 50 pages together in the first Crescent City book. And the entire time we're just told that she and Bryce have this special connection. We're just told, oh, Bryce and Danica were beautiful friends at one point, once upon a time. But we're also simultaneously asked to believe that Danica was living this entire double life. On one hand, it's like they were thick as thieves, promise, best friends, sisters, promise. On the other hand, it's like Danica was living this entire life. She was part of this rebellion. She has a mate. And this is all happening with Bryce not knowing. Bullshit. Bullshit. Danica is a liar. She's a manipulator. She's a secret keeper. She is a terrible friend and a terrible person just like her mom. Yo, this is not a friendship I would want to be in, okay? You couldn't pay me to even attempt to be friends with a person like this. Literal cringe. Danica was your absentee best friend, Bryce. You were like totally besties. But for some reason, your bestie was living this entire life without you, and she tattooed a horn that people were literally killing to have on your back without you knowing, against your will. Fuck Danica. Fuck you, Danica. You suck. You stink. You have lice. You have crabs. Get out. I wouldn't drink your first light. No. Scrap that, bitch. I wouldn't drink your second light. Like, no. Meanwhile, Danica has a whole other friendship squad, has this individual mission going on where she is the main character of a completely different story, and has a mate, all the while Bryce didn't suspect a thing. Like, Danica hid this so well. Bryce was shocked when she was like, she was doing shit without me? What? And I was just like, what? Bryce is so naive, and we're meant to believe that this bitch is gonna be the one who's gonna take the Asteri down. Are you kidding me? She's gonna be the one to take down the Asteri, break into their archives without getting caught, even though the Asteri essentially put her and Hunt on social probation at the end of this book. And she's literally Fae royalty at this point. When Danica tried to break into the archives, she was like, ooh, I'm gonna get caught because I am known, so I need to send Sophie in to be all low-key incognito. And Bryce was like, I'm pretty much on social probation and I'm royalty and I am known by everyone as a result of this, and hell is after me because of the shit I pulled last spring. They keep alluding to the events of last spring because that was a way better book. Also, my mate can spontaneously combust into lightning whenever I'm so much as threatened, and I just learned how to teleport, which is why I am qualified, and I'm not gonna get caught, and I'm not gonna jeopardize anyone on this mission. What could go wrong? Speaking of teleporting, let's talk about that. Okay, let's discuss certain things in the world. So the whole time, I was thinking that Cormac, or whatever the fuck his name is, I was just under the impression that he was gonna be the one to teach Bryce how to teleport, and we were gonna have a nice student-teacher bonding session, Karate Kid, like, no, jacket on, jacket off, that's how you teleport, bitch. And the one time she successfully teleports is when she and Hunt are rescued in the submarine, and she's trying to calm him down because she discovers there that since they're mates, he's gonna get all hot and bothered if he perceives her to be in danger. So she's trying to calm him down. How does she calm him down, you might ask? Through meditation? No. With and then, as both of them climax, they teleport upon climax. It's like, what is this magic system? Does everything have to be about the sexual Janet? Teleportation through This magic system is bullshit. Her training with Cormac would have given them the opportunity to bounce dialogue off each other and develop each other as characters. But no, we need to have some of the No, she learns to magic through the sex. Okay, you can get out of my face, bitch. At least House of Earth and Blood had the benefit of, you know, At least House of Earth and Blood had the benefit of having a grand action-packed finale. The finale in this book is an impossible mission they decide to go on where they spend one day of planning to go on this impossible mission, which was obviously not gonna work. And they were warned so many times to not do it. Yet, did that stop anyone? No. Also, I felt like this book was so unclear about who the protagonist was. Over here, it was like, okay, Bryce and Hunt are getting POVs, but this is obviously Bryce's story. Danica was her friend. We're trying to find out what happened to Danica. Bryce. Over here, I was like, who the fuck is the main character of this book? So much time is given to people I don't care about, like Therian and his fucking shit with the River Queen's daughter. Who cares? And then the moment when he was having his final emotional payoff moment, when he was drinking the shit of the Viper Queen, when he defected from the River Queen, I was like, okay. And then when Cormac blew himself up in like a paragraph, first of all, we don't actually see his body, so we don't know if he's dead. And if he is, who gives a shit? He literally could have been completely written out of the story and it would have been totally fine. As a matter of fact, it would have been better because he was put into the story at the beginning to, you know, be the new husband of Bryce and supposedly drive a wedge in the relationship Bryce has with Hunt. No wedge was driven whatsoever. It's like he was put in to complicate things between Bryce and Hunt. Spoiler alert, that doesn't happen. He never comes off as a threat to their relationship at any point. At least Sarah J. Maas could have given us like one training scene where he's teaching her to teleport. They're getting a bit flirty. They're bouncing lines off one another. The dialogue is charming. We start to think, hey, Cormac is way more interesting than Hunt, which he kind of was, because Bryce and Hunt are insufferable together. So we could have gotten like a bit of flirtation going on. And then Bryce is like, oh shit, am I getting feelings for Cormac? And then in the end, when she goes into the portal, she's like, okay, do I like my mate more or my arranged marriage that I was swearing to hate more? That would have been drama. That would have been tension. What we have here amounts to neither of those things. Also, Juniper is such a little shit. Let me just start with her now. Who cares about her dance studio woes, okay? Oh my god, I hate Bryce because she used her connections to advance my career and my dreams, and now I look bad, now I look like a whore. Now people think I'm a whore who uses my connections with my, you know, upper class friends and royalty. Who cares? We literally learned that their entire government is corrupt and drinking out of the life force of their citizens, and we're supposed to care about Juniper's feelings in the dance studio, her woes as a dancer, her reputation, good grief. Ugh. Oh no, my connections to Bryce. Speaking of connections, let us discuss the horrible smut scenes in this book. Is it me or did Sarah J. Maas develop like a nipple fetish out of nowhere in this book? Like that word came out way more times in this book than it has in all her other books combined for some reason. The dirty talk was so cringe. At one point, Hunt was asking Bryce, and I'm gonna put the screenshot up here. He was asking Bryce something like, what part do you want me to lick on your body? They were having like a dirty talk, a dirty banter talk. And her response was, my breasts. I was like, girl. When you talk dirty to your man in the modern world, in the day and the age of cell phones, and you're talking dirty, do you seriously refer to your titties as breasts in an effort to turn him on? The mechanics of the sex scenes were so confusing. I had no idea what was going on half the time. I was like, he put her what in her where and her who, what? Like, I was lost. There was a line about the scent of her arousal grabbing his and then there was another line about him slamming into her innermost wall. This is a diagram of a vagina. Can somebody point to me like where the innermost wall is? Like, are we talking cervix or are we talking like full head of the uterus? Like, how deep did he go? Also, who wants to hear the word wall in a smut scene? Raise your hand. None of you? Yeah, same. I figured. Also, at one point, I swear, I forget where the line is. I don't know if I have a screenshot of it, but at some point, at one point, I swear, hands up, he electrocutes her boob with his hand. At one point, they're like, you know, Hunt can use thunder power. He's like Thor and shit, and he can like lightly zap things. and he was like lightly using his electricity thunder power to like zap her tatas. What? I was like, am I seriously reading a Sarah J Maas book right now? Or did I fall asleep and accidentally pick up the fucking 120 Days of Sodom? I was like, where am I? What universe am I in? I would love to be in this one. And I was like, nope, I'm in this one because they started using the word mate and then I cried. Yes, I would rather read a fucking encyclopedia of torture than an unintentional encyclopedia of torture. Why did Janet think it was sexy to make her characters have the ability to smell arousal? I don't understand. I do not understand the rationale. She repeatedly alludes to the scent of the juices of Bryce's undercarriage. I was dry retching through most of these smut scenes. And given how horny everybody in this book was, like, you would think that the sex scenes would have more to them. Nope. Besides the mildly electrocuted boob, we are very much in lame, boring vanilla territory. I could have used a lot more strap-ons to assert feminism, some ivory dildos, some riding crops, some fisting even. I'm not opposed to that. It's like, girl, Janet, we are no longer in PG-13 land. Your characters can finally flip each other off and say the word fuck now. I mean, in ACOTAR it was like, she flashed him a vulgar gesture. What? Over here it's like, okay, gave him the middle finger. It's like, if you can give the middle finger, if you can say the word fuck, can you at least do something else that isn't that? Like literally all the sex scenes in this book have the appeal of me doing this. That's how hot they are, okay? Like, Janet, figure something out. Also, the characters in this book are so horny. The characters in this book are so horny all the time. There are so many scenes where sexual ideation is inserted into non-sexual conversations, and people start flirting in scenes that would have otherwise been more heavy. It just seems so tone deaf. Literally, there was a scene, I'm not kidding, there was a scene in this book, the scene straight up went like, ooh, I know we just finished reminiscing about your dead friend, wanna try some butt stuff now? There is a scene where Bryce suggests that Hunt skins the horn off her back, and Hunt goes, that is such a turn on. Let's talk about the final line, okay? I'm gonna restate one of my biggest issues with this book was that I was unclear about who the protagonist was the entire time. So now that we have linked to the ACOTAR world, spoiler alert, she goes into a portal and meets Rant at the end. It's gonna be even more confusing now. That line at the end of this book communicates to me that Sarah J Maas is gonna be poisoning the ACOTAR world with this crap. And I guarantee you that Hunt and Rant are gonna have a dick measuring contest in the next book. We're gonna have Hunt, Rant, Cassian, and Azriel fucking playing golfs with their schlongdongs. And because Janet is apparently now incapable of being economical with her word count, this scene is gonna be 70 fucking pages, I guarantee you, and it's gonna have all the metaphorical profoundedness of Nesta walking down a flight of stairs. So what do we have? A book that is 800 pages of dead air, and then time travel and the multiverse in the last 5 pages. A book that is guaranteed to make the ACOTAR books feel even more bloated than they already are because of Sarah J Maas's inability to just, like, you know, kill a couple main characters off. I loved Throne of Glass, but I was pretty disappointed by how many people lived at the end of that book, at the end of Kingdom of Ash. I loved A Court of Silver Flames so much. I gave that book 5 stars. I cried. I loved it to the point of tears. And I was so excited to be getting another Nesta book next year because I accepted the fact that we were getting another Crescent City book this year. I was like, okay, she can write her Crescent City book, but like, give me a Nesta book next year, please. I love her so much. Apparently we're getting a 3rd one of these next year, or next year. Ugh, I hate everything. I am literally mad this book exists and that I thought it was a good idea to read all 800 fucking pages of this with my eyes. And no, I don't give a fuck that I broke the spine. I don't care. It deserves it. This is one of those books that deserves to be mistreated. Punch, punch, punch. No, I would never mistreat this. I mean, I no longer want it in my life, and I would like to give it to somebody who would potentially like this, question mark. But yeah, I just, no. Fuck this, I'm so mad. 1 star out of 5, this book is terrible, I hate it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in future videos, and as always, take care. I lose myself.